Hello, grade 12s. Welcome back. It's Economics with Ms. Piwe, and today we are focusing on the perfect market, and we are putting much emphasis on the industry, but also doing some comparison with individual firms. So we're looking at the exit and entry into the market space, and what happens if some firms decide that they're going to leave the market space based on the economic losses that they are seeing in that market, and also what happens in terms of economic profits, because profits are a signal for new firms to come into the market space. So now we are going to move on to our competition policy. We have seen in our previous lesson that competition plays a very important role in the world of economics, because firms can sometimes put barriers in place in order to block other firms from entering that space. So competition has to be regulated. We need policy documents to monitor and regulate competition in this market. And also there are institutions that focus on ensuring or in making sure that companies or firms do follow these policies in terms of entry and exit into the market. So let's get started. So we are looking at the competition policies. So what is competition? Because we use this word, sometimes we do overuse it, especially in economics, because we always are talking about competitors, competition. Is it fair? Is it not? And we're always talking about that competitive advantage that a firm may have over other firms or businesses. Okay, so competition refers to the existence of free entry into and exit from markets. So we come across these two words again. So exit there and entry. Okay, so it's looking at whether businesses or firms are allowed just to come into the market to sell their products. So there should be free access into the market. And also, are there any exit issues that are involved, and if you are wanting or have decided that you are going to leave that market space. So we're looking at free entry into the market and also exit from the markets as well. So this ensures that markets are not dominated by certain businesses. Okay, remember, competition is a healthy aspect of the economy. So if we have more firms or businesses that offer services, goods and services to the consumers or to the households, that is a good thing, because then we can actually compare prices. We can say, hang on, this person is selling above the market price, so let's find a supplier that is selling along the market price. So also, it's not a good idea to have one business that dominates the market, because that business will play an important role when it comes to pricing. So because they dominate the market, obviously they're going to influence the price as well because of the power that they have in that particular market. So competition is all about that, making sure that, what are the terms and conditions in terms of free entry into the market, and also if you decide to exit the market as well. So there are quite a few things that this policy is hoping to achieve in terms of regulating the markets. So we're going to look at some of the goals of the competition policy. So the first one that we come across is to prevent the monopolies and other powerful businesses from abusing their power. Okay, so it's important because on our previous lesson, we did look at the monopoly structure when we were looking at the market structures. And then we said in a monopoly, you have one business or firm that sells a unique product that has no substitutes. So you don't have a choice but to use their services or to use their product. In that particular instance, we quite often find that businesses that dominate the market actually influence the pricing. They can hike up prices as they please because they know that you don't have other options that you can go to. So it's important that we encourage more competition into the market space, because often monopolies abuse the power because they know that they are the sole provider of that particular product, and therefore consumers don't have an option but to use their services. So the goal of this competition is to try and prevent these monopolies from and other powerful businesses, because there could be quite a few. You know, if you look at our cellular network industry, we've got 3 major companies. There are powerful companies. Initially, when we had those 2, which I'm not going to name, because then I might just be giving them free advertising. So when we had the first 2, I think you know what I'm talking about. They actually tried to push the baby from entering that the market space, because they were quite happy being the 2 powerful companies, and you know they could form part of price negotiation and price fixing, because you know it's just the 2 networks that were offering the service at the time, and they were threatened by a 3rd service provider coming into that space because you know obviously the 3rd service provider would have looked at loopholes in the system and will try and target those customers. So we really try to discourage the system of monopolies, because we know that once they have the power, they tend to abuse it or to not use it accordingly. Then the second bit is to regulate the formation of mergers and acquisitions who wish to exercise market power. Okay, so let's just explain what a merger is. So when you have 2 companies that join or become one. So if you have company A and company B and they decide to form a merger, it means that company A and company B becomes one company, and they will be seen as company C, a combination of A and B. This needs to be regulated, because that could also result in this, them forming a powerful business with a plan of abusing the system, or using their power to abuse the system. So the formation of these mergers, businesses joining up to form a larger corporation, needs to be monitored, and we need to look at the intention. Why are those businesses wanting to form this merger? And also businesses acquiring other extensions into their business needs to be monitored as well, because that could make them powerful, and they become a powerful business, and then because of their power, they end up being able to influence the pricing in the market. So these 2 things need to be monitored quite carefully, and the competition policy is there to ensure that these are monitored and they are regulated in terms of mergers and acquisitions of new businesses, because this could influence the market power that those businesses could possibly have. And then our third point is to stop the firms from using restrictive practices like fixing prices and dividing the markets. Okay, so I did mention this a bit earlier. So I'm sorry, I'm just going to pull my screen up. There we are. When we spoke about fixing the prices, that you've got 2 firms that can negotiate and also agree to fix the prices in that market, but also dividing the market, segmenting the market. So they can say, we are one big company, but we're going to have this pie and that pie and that pie. And in doing so, we're not going to allow other businesses to enter this market space. So those are the things that we need to be aware of as far as competition is concerned. And hence, it is important to have such a policy in place in order to regulate and also try and monitor that businesses continue with fair practice, and they don't find themselves in a situation where they end up fixing the prices. There was a huge scandal a few years ago where one big company was caught up in a price fixing scandal, and was fined millions and millions of rands because of this unethical business practice. So it's important for businesses to be transparent in their dealings and not to end up, being involved in issues like fixing the prices in the market. All right, then we move on to the Competition Act in South Africa. Obviously, if there's a policy needs to be based on a particular act. So in South Africa, there is an act that focuses on competition, because competition is a healthy aspect of the economy. So we need to have this regulated and monitored at all times. So the government introduced the Competition Act 89 of 1998 to promote competition in South Africa in order to achieve the following objectives. So please know this act. Okay, so it's important that you know the Act, that it is Act 89 of 1998, and know that this Act was put into place in order to promote competition in South Africa in order to achieve the following objectives. So the main idea of this Act is to promote competition in South Africa. So it's important that we note that. So what are some of the objectives of this particular act? So to promote the efficiency of the economy, that is its primary aim, because it's important to have an economy that runs efficiently. Okay, let me just go back up. There we are. It's important to have an economy that runs efficiently. It means that all the systems are put into place. We have a structure, we have a particular structure that we follow, and by us following this particular structure, we can ensure that our economic objectives are achieved. So the Act is in place in order to promote the efficiency of the economy, and competition plays an important role in this. So if we want to achieve our economic objectives, it is important that we have new businesses coming into the market space, because if we have new businesses, it means that we have more economic activity happening in the country, and then that will contribute towards our GDP. And we know that when our GDP goes up, or when it increases, it means that we are experiencing economic growth. And we know that that's the main objective that we have, to grow our economy. Also, to provide consumers with competitive pricing and a variety of products. So competitive pricing is important, and the only way to have competitive pricing is when you have options and other businesses that provide that particular service or that sell those goods and services. And to have competitive pricing, you need competitors. So we should be able to compare prices and to see what other businesses are charging for that particular service. So competitive pricing and a variety of goods is important in this aspect, that we are not just limited to a particular choice of goods, but our choice is wide enough so that we can have access to the consumer goods that we wish to purchase. So the Act plays an important role in ensuring that competitive pricing does actually take place, and that consumers are offered a variety of products. But also it is there to promote employment. And for me, this is quite an important thing, because we are dealing with such high unemployment levels in our country. So when I see an opportunity for firms or businesses to promote employment, I get very excited, because in order for us to have more economic activity happening, we need to increase the number of people who are employed in our country, so that they can take part in economic activity, because you can't purchase your consumer goods or your goods and services that you require if you don't have the financial resources that enable you to purchase or to have access to these goods. So employment also plays an important role. Also, it encouraged South Africa to participate in world markets and accept foreign competition in South Africa. Okay, so we spent a bit of time in our previous lessons talking about the foreign market and the foreign exchange market. So it is encouraged that we also welcome businesses from other countries to come into our market space because that is going to increase competition in our South African market space. So it's important that we also go outside to other countries to compete in terms of the world market. We export a lot of wine into other countries. So we've entered that industry because our wine has such a good reputation. So it's important that we participate as well in world markets, but also accept other countries to come into our country and set up new businesses because, they do offer that variety. So we might be in a position where we are not able to offer certain goods and services, and those countries could assist us in offering those goods and services. So, and also to enable the small, medium-sized businesses or enterprises to participate in the economy. And we know that entrepreneurship has become so important in South Africa based on the fact that we've got such high levels of unemployment. So for lots of South Africans, the informal sector has helped, in terms of ordinary consumers having some financial resources in order to purchase their consumer goods. So they end up starting their own small businesses. So it's important that this act supports small businesses and gives them a platform to participate in the South African market space. Because if we do not support these businesses, then we are not going to be able to provide more employment opportunities. Remember, when someone starts a business, a small business in particular, they will employ 1 or 2 people to assist them in their business. By the fact that, or by those 2 people getting that employment opportunity, it does play a role in reducing the high unemployment levels that we are currently facing or dealing with in our country. So I'm very happy and excited that the Act is actually promoting or is enabling small businesses to participate in the economy by giving them that opportunity or platform in order to do so and promote themselves in terms of the market space. So this is actually quite a good point. Oh, well, before we continue, how about we take a short break and I will see you right after that.